Well, the weekend's over, but there's been some change of plans from my previous talk. Instead of reviewing four events from three different promotions, I'm going with three promotions with three events. So we got AEW Dark Elevation. Of course, we also going to review some previous events. Recently from Ring of Honor, I finally got to see Ring of Honor Glory by Honor Day 1, which I finally can see it, but also a past event by DDT Pro Wrestling called Max Bump 2021. This took place back in May, I think. But yeah, so let's get started with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with AEW Dark Elevation. This event took about less than an hour, which is pretty good. I know there's been certain changes that have been going on with AEW regarding their YouTube shows with Elevation and Dark, but that's another conversation for another time. First match is Daniel Garcia versus Tyler Williams. As you know, Daniel Garcia is being recognized as one of the most talented individuals. Kind of reminds me a bit of the, how do I say, the catch point type of wrestlers, but he was very impressive, very aggressive, very like he's determined to prove he can beat the best, and that's what he did. He actually submitted Tyler Sullivan, and it was already over by then. Had no other choice but to tap out. Next match, the recent newest member of an addition of Hardy Family Office, Jora Joel, being accompanied by Big Money Matt, taking on what's his name, Cal Hero. Now, Jora Joel is still on a learning curve. He's trying to be something that he's not, but he he picked up a good win. But however, you know how Matt is, he'll take credit for it. Next match, we got Emi Sakura, who is being accompanied by Lulu Pencil. Yes, Pencil Ame. Yep, but we're not gonna see that. That's only when we see her in Choco Pro. And get ready for Choco Pro USA because it's already been told she's going to face against Daniel Garcia. But that's another conversation, another episode at another time. So she's facing Ashley DeBois. It was a pretty good match because it showed Emi Sakura, who is a veteran in the wrestling business, taking on someone like Ashley, who only has maybe 5 or less years of experience. But she did a good job. But however, Emi Sakura is one of the best wrestlers in the Yoshi world, and that's the reason she is. And everybody likes to, we will rock you. And she actually did brought on this type of aggression where she puts up a little bit of pain to her opponents, but of course, it ended with the 1, 2, 3, and it's all she wrote. Next match, we got an interesting women's tag team match. We have Diamante teaming up with Nyla Rose, taking on Julia Hart and Big Swole. This rivalry between Diamante and Big Swole has been taking up a different direction. As you know, uh, Diamante attacked Julia Hart for no reason after her match a week ago, but this time they set up a match, a tag team match, and she picked Nyla Rose. And I want to be honest with everybody, I think Nyla Rose and Diamante is a perfect pair. You know, if they ever decide to bring a women's tag team division, which is fun, I would love to see that. But it was Diamante who pulled off a sneaky slide to ensure the win. She used the chain while Nyla Rose put Julia Hart in the Beast Bomb, 1, 2, 3. That's all she wrote, folks. Next up, we got Dante Martin taking on Adam Grace. There's a lot of hot spots, but of course, you know Dante Martin, who is one of the most unbelievable young talents in AEW, pulled off the flipping stunner onto Grace, and it's over, and that's all he wrote, folks. Next up, we got Thunder Rosa taking on Lady Luck. You know how Thunder Rosa is. Very fun, very fan favorite. People love her. And of course, she put her in the Peruvian necktie. And that always works. And it's over when she tapped out. Next up, we got Anthony Bowens taking on Brian Cage. However, members of Team Taz were at the commentary section, wanted to stir things up with Brian Cage as soon as the match was over when he put away Anthony Bowens. But this time, Brian Cage did not survive his encounter with Team Taz. He won the match when he pulled off the whatever he calls it, and Team Taz continues to make their onslaught. Next up, we got Hikaru Shida taking on Heather Reckless. Good match. I failed to mention this. It's already been announced that Hikaru Shida, and Emi Sakura are in the casino battle royale. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see how this is going to be. It's going to be in the buy-in. You can see that on YouTube for free. But Hikaru Shida continues to impress us no matter what. She is one of the best women's champions in AEW, and I think we were so happy to have her as our champion. But of course, she has to make the rankings. We'll see what happens then. But she did put Heather Reckless in the Falcon Arrow, and 1, 2, 3. That's all she wrote, folks. Our main event, we got Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico taking on members of the Vlog Crew. Yes, the Vlog Crew. Fuego Del Sol and his best friend Sammy Guevara. I have to say, great match. I mean, look, we can say, but isn't it Sammy with the inner circle? Yes, but you know what? Have the Vlog Crew be something in dark. It would work. You don't have to post this on the freaking Dynamite, and it doesn't have to happen. And I think it played out pretty well because the people who are in the Vlog Crew, like Five, Griff Garrison, and Fuego, it fits perfectly with them, and I think they should do that. And it worked pretty well. And he, of course, Fuego put Serpentico in the Tornado DDT, while Sammy put Luther in the Go to Hell, and it was already over when he struck his knee right in his face. 1, 2, 3. The Vlog Crew picked up the victory on this one. I think it's a great combination with both Fuego and Sammy. Now, I cannot recall if they ever teamed up in the Independence, but if there is, someone please tell me out, show me a video or something. I would like to see that. So I think we got that covered with AEW Dark Elevation. So let's move on to Ring of Honor. All right, so we got Ring of Honor. This is day 1 of Glory by Honor. I know I covered day 2, but the truth to be told, I've been using Watch Pro Wrestling, a link where you can see many wrestling matches from anywhere in the world, New Japan or some independent shows or MMA stuff. That's what happened, but they did not put day 1 right away. It just waited a little while. But I finally got to see it, but I get to review it for all of you. So let's start from the finish to the beginning all the way to the end. First match is Silas Young versus Ray Horus. Silas Young has a grudge against Ray Horus for wearing a mask. Now, we all know luchadors, they wore it because it's part of their heritage that we've seen. But however, Silas Young used that under his advantage to distract Ray Horus in order for him to pick a pinfall. But this is not over. He even made fun of Ray Horus that in the following day during the main event between Rush and Dragon Lee, when he teamed up with Mexi Squad member Bandito. The next match is a 6-man mayhem match. We have Demonic Flamita, Eli Ism, Dak Draper, PJ Black, and Mike Bennett, and of course, my new favorite, I'm Danhausen. I'm very famous and I'm very evil. It was more like they mixed up the tag team in this one, but in the end, it became every man for themselves. Even then, Housen tried to act like he thinks he won, but however, it was Flamita. Now, Flamita wins this because it would give him the advantage to one up to one day get a chance to beat Bandito for the Ring of Honor World title. Now, the next match was a women's tag team match, but however, before the start, we had the arrival of Chelsea Green. And then here's the match. We have the Allure, Mandy Leon taking on Mandy Leon and Angela Love taking on Vita Von Star and a mystery partner, and the mystery partner was the Monster, Max the Impaler, along with Amy Rose. It was one of those matches where the Allure now has to prove they're no longer at the top of the food chain. They acted throughout the entire women's tournament that they think they run the show. But however, people like Vita Von Star and Max Impaler, they destroy. And there's nothing they can do. Even though the best part was in the match, as soon as Vita Von Star won the match, um, she decided to have Mandy Leon throw in through a table. Angelina Love was helpless to save her. So now they have to contend, realizing there's a much bigger threat to their ways. And I doubt Maria will do anything because the Allure was trying to undermine her authority, believing that she doesn't know what she's doing, but Maria is in charge of the women's division. Next up, we have Brian Johnson, who is a native of Philly, since the show was there, taking on EC3. It was a good match, more like showing EC3 that he is still the guy who's saying, control your narrative. Brian Johnson, who had a heart and soul to determine to beat a guy like EC3, but however, it did not end well for Brian Johnson. EC3 won the match, and that kind of proves that he's in control and there's nothing that he can do, that anybody can do about it. Next up, we got Bateman along with Dutch of the Righteous taking on Mark Briscoe. It's supposed to be a tag team with the Briscoes, but however, he could not make it. It was a good match. Mark Briscoe did exactly what he did. He went on his own, went out swinging. He pulled up a very surprising win, but however, it did not last long until Dutch showed up and started beating the crap out of him, and then Mike Bennett showed up to give him a helping hand. However, Mark Briscoe doesn't trust Mike Bennett because of the stories have been spread by Vincent, leader of the Righteous, saying that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven act like they don't run the place. So basically, that's a different story to tell from another time. The next match we had Josh Woods, who in fact joined commentary, but the next match is for the Ring of Honor Pure title. We had two members of the Foundation, Rhett Titus and Jonathan Gresham. These guys put it one hell of a match. Pure rules, pure wrestling. You don't see that every time. But fighting against members of the same faction, that is a classic match you cannot ignore. However, it was Gresham that won the match. And Rhett Titus, he is going to be one day a pure champion. All he needs to do is get himself to prove that he has what it takes to be bringing the purity of pure wrestling. Now, the next thing we know after the match, since Josh Wood is now next in line to take on Jonathan Gresham, it will take place in Death by this before Dishonor, one of the latest event. I can't wait to see that. The next match we had is an 8-man tag team match. One side we got La Facción Ingobernable, Dragon Lee, Kenny King, Bestia del Ring, and Rush taking on Violence Unlimited, Tony Deppen, Brody King, Chris Dickinson, and Homicide. Now, the match ended in no contest at start, and then later they switched it into a Philly street fight. It was brutal, chaotic. You had no clue how this was going to end, but in fact, it was, of course, Chris Dickinson who picked up the victory for his team, proving how dominant they are. Shane Taylor was watching this, but as soon as the match was over, he attacked Kenny King for payback for what he did to him months ago. But however, the rest of his Shane Taylor promotion show up to give a helping hand. So this war between both Shane Taylor and La Facción is not over yet. Now the main event is for the Ring of Honor World Title. We got Flip Gordon, who's been asking for a chance for the Ring of Honor World Title for months, dating back since last year. And now that he finally gets it, I have to say it was a pretty good darn match. High flying moves. As you know, Flip Gordon has changed his ways. Instead of being a high flyer, he put in a bit of the ground style, but it played very well. But however, it was Bandito that picked up the victory, the retain, and this was his first. But however, this was not over for him. Apparently, he has challengers coming left and right. He has EC3 who wanted a shot at him, and then the Brody King, and then of course he was attacked by demonic Flamita. So basically, this is going to be a never-ending battle for Bandito. If he can hold on to his title long enough, we'll just see who will be the lucky contestant to take for him to take on first. Okay, the last event I'm gonna be reviewing. This is from DDT Pro Wrestling Max Bump 2021. This took place in Corkin Hall on the 4th of May. Just to let you guys know and put a note on this, there were no fans whatsoever. This was still at the time when COVID-19 was still becoming a problem. The surge was happening, so it made sense to make things very, very difficult for fans who wanted to attend these shows, but it happened. So the first match we had a triple threat was then Shuko Dino, Antonio Honda, and Kikutaro. Now it started out where Kikutaro is acting all depressed. I don't know what he was depressed about. Is he depressed now that no woman wants to mess with him, or what? I don't know. Even the GM tried to get involved to get him riled up, but nothing seemed to work until finally he did, and somehow Kikutaro just got his, you know, himself back in sense and won the match. And I think that was a big surprise for the other two. Next up, we got Matt Pauly of Damnation taking on Akito. Now, Akito, has been on his own for a while. This was a perfect opportunity for him to become a singles competitor. His last faction he was in was All Out, but it got disbanded after the recent losses that they had. But I have to say, he was very impressive. Taking on Matt Pauly all by himself. I did not expect him to win, to be honest with you. But for him to take on a big man like Matt Pauly, very impressive. So Akito won this match completely, which was an upset. The next match is for the KOD 8-man tag team titles. We have the challengers Yuya Kuruko, Hideki Okatani, Toi Kojima, and Keigo Nakamura taking on Shikara, Yakanabe, Yukio Naya, and Sanjiro, which they are the champions. Good match. It was so fun and predictable. However, it was Sanshiro Tagaki who put the stunner onto Keigo, and 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, in post-match, DDT received a visit from Keno of Pro Wrestling Noah and the leader of the faction, Kongo. Now keep in mind, in Cyber Fight, there's going to be a fight between Team DDT versus Kongo. Now, I need to get all of the DDT events out of the way in order to align. I already did that with Pro Wrestling Noah and Tokyo Yoshi Pro because 3 promotions are doing this event. But however, I haven't catched up with DDT. As soon as I get there, I'll review Cyber Fight, which is a good event from my understanding. But however, during this promo between Keno, he got in the face of someone who I think should challenge him in a singles competition. I'm talking about Yukio Sakagachi. Those two are like almost the same. Tough competitors who don't give an effing fly about anything Just don't get in my way, that sort of thing. But it kind of fits in. But that's for another time. Now, the next match is a triple threat six man or trios match. One team we got the 37 Kamina, Mao, Shuna Katsumura, and Konosuke Takeda taking on Eruptions, Yukio Sakaguchi, Kasuda Iguchi teaming with Yuki Ino, taking on Damnations, Suke Sasaki, and Tetsu Endo and Yuji Ino. I have to say, it was chaotic, but right now I have to say, from what I can see, 37 Kamina are now making headways. As you know, 37 Kamina were once members of All Out, but now this lineup is doing far more better than they ever been as this group, this new faction. But it was them that win. But it did announce that it seems the Shuna Katsumura and Konosuke Takeshita most likely want to compete for the KOD tag team titles. And they just put themselves in line at the Ultimate Tag League, which is cool. So we'll get to that some point. The next match is a winner take all match. We have the DDT Extreme title on the line and the DDT Ironman Heavy Metalweight title on the line. So we got Saki Akia of Eruption taking on Chris Brooks. Man, what a match. I saw how this one where Saki Akia refuses to bow down to Chris Brooks, but however, Chris Brooks is so damn impressive. I mean, he can put you in a submission. Like, really, if you're that thin, he is that good. And of course, Saki kind of gave up. Her body just couldn't take it when Chris Brooks beat her, and it was kind of interesting. But don't forget, the Iron Man Heavy Metalweight title is a 24/7 title. She'll get it back one way or the other. Now, the next match is a six-man tag team match. We have Disaster Box, Kazuki Irada, Toru Washi, and Harashima taking on Junretsu's Makoto Oshii, Jun Akiyama, and of course being accompanied with Yusuke Okada. Now, I always did say Irada is a really dumb idiot. He likes to stir things off, act that he's a star, but however, Arashima tried to let me handle Jun Akiyama. So it was more like that. Like he don't want to stir the pot, but however, it was him who lost the match when he got pinned by Akiyama. And I hope, Irada learned his lessons. Do not stir the pot. We know you're a star, but don't be cocky. Now, our main event is the DDT Universal title. We got Soma Takao of what's faction of Damnation taking on the champion Yukio Ino of the 37 Kamina. Great match, great story where Takao is determined to prove that he is well deserving to be champion. But however, Yukio Ino, who is an impressive wrestler, I have to say. First time I saw him, he was with All Out, and now he's with 37 Kamina. I have to say, what a great match. But however, it did not last long where his next opponent is his former teammate of All Out, Akito, and I have to say, what a bold move Akito put out. Just don't know what to expect, but it played out pretty well. So I think that's pretty much it with DDT. There is still more to come with DDT. I'll figure that out later. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed me reviewing these three events. Coming up, we got more. We got, of course, NWA Power, where we're going to see the fallout after what happened at Empower and 37. I mean, the 33rd. And of course, we got AEW Dark. Hopefully, we do. And of course, NXT. And I decided to add another ICW No Holds Barred event, Pit Fighter X9, which took place on July 4th. And there's still more the stuff that coming out. I think there's no news updates for everybody. If you guys should know, I just did a podcast, episode 62, where I talk about Adam Cole, the Iconics, the Empowered, both NWA shows that took place in the weekend, the return of Zuki, and of course Choco Pro USA. So you guys could check those out if you guys can. You can find me on Google Out Podcast, Apple Podcast, Overcast, uh, anywhere you can find it. So if you're looking for it, is DWZ Podcast with J Rod. So you'll see that when that happens. So I think that's it right now for all of you. So I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.